My parents made me live with my school bully after her mom went to rehab. She sabotaged my life, but I caught her on camera. That was a month ago. Today, her grandma took her away and she's begging me not to press charges. So picture this. You're 17 minding your own business and your parents drop the biggest bomb on you since they told you Santa wasn't real. They're sitting me down at our kitchen table looking all serious like they're about to tell me someone died or something. Mom's got that nervous look she gets when she's about to ask me to clean the garage, and Dad's doing that thing where he adjusts his reading glasses like 5 times. Honey, we need to talk, Mom starts, and I'm already thinking, great, what did I do now? Did they find out about the dent I put in the Honda when I was backing out of the Walmart parking lot last week? But nah, this was way worse. Rachel's mom is going to rehab, Dad says, real gentle-like. Rachel. Even hearing her name made my stomach do this weird flip thing. Rachel Martinez had been making my life absolutely miserable since freshman year. We're talking full-on mean girl status here. She'd accidentally bump into me in the hallways, make these snide comments about my thrift store clothes, and once she even started this whole rumor that I had lice just because I scratched my head during chemistry class. That's unfortunate, I managed to say, trying to figure out where this conversation was headed. Her grandmother lives 3 states away, Mom continued, and she can't just uproot Rachel in the middle of her senior year, so we've offered to let her stay with us until her mother gets better. The words hit me like a freight train carrying nothing but bad news and expired milk. You want my bully to live in our house? She's not your bully, sweetie. Sometimes girls just don't get along at first, Mom said, and I swear I felt my eye twitch. Not my bully? This girl had literally posted a video on TikTok of me tripping over a trash can set to that song about falling down. It got like 2,000 views before I reported it. Mom, she threw my backpack in the school fountain last month. People make mistakes when they're dealing with stress, Dad chimed in. Her mother's addiction has been hard on the whole family. And just like that, my parents had made up their minds. Rachel Martinez, the girl who had spent 3 years making me feel like dirt, was moving into our guest room. Because apparently, my mental health and general well-being were less important than looking good to the church committee. The day she moved in was like watching a tornado arrive in slow motion. She showed up with her grandmother, this tiny little woman who looked exhausted, carrying 2 suitcases and an attitude you could smell from across the street. Rachel didn't even look at me when she walked through our front door, just strutted, right past like she owned the place. Thank you so much for this, her grandmother kept saying to my parents. Rachel's been through so much, and having some stability will really help her focus on graduating. Stability. Right, like turning my house into her personal torture chamber was going to help anyone. The first week was actually okay, which should have been my first red flag. Rachel kept to herself, stayed in the guest room most of the time, and was polite enough during family dinners that my parents kept giving me these, see, we told you so looks. But I knew better. This was like when those nature documentaries show you a beautiful flower right before they tell you it eats bugs. Update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support so far. A lot of you are asking why my parents believed her over me. Honestly, Rachel's always been good at playing innocent around adults. But here's where things get really interesting. Should I tell you about the first thing she did to mess with my college applications? Week 2 is when the real Rachel showed up to the party. I came home from my job at the local Target to find my laptop sitting open on the kitchen counter. Nothing seemed wrong at first, but when I went to work on my college essay that night, I discovered that someone had deleted my entire Google Drive. 3 years of school projects, college application essays, photos, everything, gone. That's so weird, Rachel said when I mentioned it at dinner, her voice dripping with fake concern. Maybe you accidentally hit delete? Technology can be so tricky. My parents bought it completely. These things happen, honey, Dad said. That's why we always tell you to back up your files. But I knew. The way Rachel's eyes lit up when she said so tricky. She was practically glowing with satisfaction. Still, I couldn't prove anything, and my parents were already looking at me like I was being paranoid. The pranks escalated from there. My favorite Nike hoodie disappeared from the laundry and turned up in the trash, covered in what she claimed was accidental pasta sauce. She started using my Neutrogena face wash and my good shampoo, the expensive stuff I bought with my Target money, then acted confused when I asked her about it. I thought we were sharing, she'd say with this innocent smile that made me want to scream into a pillow. The worst part was how she'd be sweet as pie whenever my parents were around. She'd offer to help with dishes, compliment Mom's cooking, and even started going to church with us on Sundays. My parents ate it up like free samples at Costco. See how much better she's doing with some structure, Mom would whisper to me. You two are going to be such good friends. Friends, right. Because nothing says friendship like finding your birth control pills flushed down the toilet and having to explain to your mom why you were on them in the first place. That was a fun conversation. But Rachel's masterpiece, the thing that really showed me what I was dealing with, happened about 3 weeks into her stay. I had this job interview lined up at the local Barnes & Noble. Nothing fancy, but it was better than Target and would look good on college applications. I had been preparing for days, picked out my best outfit, even practiced answers in the mirror. The morning of the interview, I went to get dressed and found my interview clothes missing. Not just misplaced, completely gone. I tore my room apart, looking for them, panic setting in as I realized I had exactly 30 minutes to get to the bookstore. Looking for something? Rachel asked, leaning against my doorframe with that smirk she'd perfected. My interview outfit, the black pants and white blouse. Oh, those? Yeah, I borrowed them. They're in the wash now. Hope that's okay, the wash. My interview clothes were currently spinning around in a cycle that wouldn't be done for another hour and a half. I ended up showing up to the interview in jeans and an old t-shirt, looking like I just rolled out of bed. Needless to say, I didn't. Get the job. How did it go? Rachel asked that evening at dinner, and I swear she was trying not to laugh. That night I made a decision. If Rachel wanted to play games, I could play games too. But I wasn't going to stoop to her level. I was going to be smarter about it. Started documenting everything. Every missing item, every accident, every little comment. I wrote it all down in a notebook I kept hidden under my mattress. But more importantly, I started setting up my phone to record whenever I was alone with her. It took about a week to get the evidence I needed. Rachel had gotten comfortable, sloppy even. She thought she was untouchable because my parents believed every word she said. So when she came into my room to borrow my phone charger while I was supposedly in the shower, she didn't notice my iPhone propped up behind my alarm clock recording everything. Let's see what little Miss Perfect has been up to, she muttered, scrolling through my phone. She took screenshots of some private conversations I'd had with my best friend about a guy I liked, then airdropped them to herself. Then she went through my photos, deleting random ones just to mess with me. But the real gold came when she noticed my college application sitting on my desk. I watched later as she picked it up, read through it, then very deliberately spilled her Dr. Pepper all over the pages. Oops, she said to no one, since she thought she was alone. Then she actually laughed. This cold, mean laugh that made my skin crawl. Update. Okay, guys, this is where it gets intense. I've got her on video destroying my stuff and going through my phone. But plotting my revenge felt kind of scary, you know? Like, what if I was becoming just as bad? What would you have done with video evidence like this? I had her. On video, being deliberately malicious, talking to herself about how stupid I was for leaving my stuff where she could get to it. It was everything I needed to prove to my parents what she was really like. But something stopped me from showing them right away. Maybe it was because I knew they'd been so invested in their good deed that admitting they were wrong would be hard for them. Or maybe I just wanted to see how far Rachel would push things before I dropped the hammer. I didn't have to wait long. The next week was homecoming, and I had managed to get asked by this guy Jake from my AP history class. Nothing serious, just a friend thing, but I was excited. It was my first dance since sophomore year, and I had saved up money from Target to buy a dress that actually made me feel pretty. The dress was this deep blue thing from Target's formal section. Not expensive, but it fit me perfectly and made me feel like maybe I wasn't completely invisible after all. I hung it in my closet and counted down the days. 3 days before the dance, I came home to find Rachel in the kitchen, crying these big dramatic tears while my mom rubbed her back. What's wrong? I asked, genuinely concerned despite everything. Someone at school has been spreading rumors about me, Rachel sobbed. They're saying I'm a charity case, that I don't belong here. It's so humiliating. My heart sank. I had a pretty good idea where this was going. And now Jake asked me to homecoming, she continued. But I don't have anything to wear, and I can't ask my grandmother for money when she's already doing so much. You can borrow something of mine, I heard myself saying, because my mom was giving me that look that said I better be the bigger person or else. Really? Rachel's tears dried up suspiciously fast. That's so sweet of you. I showed her my closet, including the blue dress I'd been planning to wear. I figured she'd pick something else. We weren't exactly the same size, and most of my clothes were pretty casual anyway. Oh, this is perfect, she squealed, grabbing the blue dress. This is exactly what I was hoping for. My stomach dropped. Actually, that's the one I was planning to wear, but you said I could borrow something, and I already told Jake I'd have something nice to wear. Please, I promise I'll be super careful with it. And there was my mom, nodding along like this was the most reasonable thing in the world. Sharing is caring, honey. You can find something else. Something else. Right, because I definitely had multiple formal dresses just hanging around in my Target employee wardrobe. The night of homecoming, I stayed home and binge-watched Netflix while Rachel went to the dance in my dress, with the guy who had asked me first. She looked amazing, of course, and made sure to post about 50 pictures on Instagram of her and Jake dancing together. But that wasn't even the worst part. When she came home that night, she had this huge stain down the front of my dress. Oh, no, she gasped, holding it up. Someone spilled punch on me. I'm so sorry. I'll pay to get it cleaned. The stain was clearly nail polish. Bright red nail polish that had definitely been poured on purpose, based on the way it formed perfect. Little drops across the chest area. My beautiful blue dress was ruined. Accidents happen, my mom said the next morning when Rachel tearfully confessed about the punch spill. It's just a dress. Just a dress. This from the woman who still had her own homecoming dress from 1987, wrapped in tissue paper in the attic. That was my breaking point. Not just because of the dress, though. That hurt like crazy. It was the realization that Rachel wasn't just bullying me. She was systematically destroying everything good in my life, and my own parents were helping her do it. I spent that Sunday afternoon putting together my evidence, all my notes, the video of her going through my phone and destroying my college application, photos of my ruined dress, everything organized, nice and neat, like a presentation. But instead of showing my parents, I did something different, something that felt right. I looked up Rachel's grandmother online. It wasn't hard, small town, and Rachel had mentioned her name enough times. I found her on Facebook, and she seemed like a nice lady. Lots of pictures of flowers and Bible verses, posts about how proud she was of her granddaughter. I sent her a private message. Nothing dramatic, just a simple note saying I had some concerns about Rachel's behavior, and would she mind if I called her to discuss it? I included my phone number and asked her to call when she had a chance. She called that same evening. "Hello, dear," she said, and her voice was exactly like I'd imagined, warm but tired. "I got your message about Rachel. Is everything all right?" I told her everything, not in a mean way, just the facts, about the deleted files, the stolen clothes, the ruined dress, about how she acted sweet around my parents but was cruel when we were alone. I sent her the video and some photos and asked her to just watch them before we talked again. She called me back the next day. "I'm coming to get her," she said quietly. "I'll be there this weekend. Ma'am, I don't want to cause trouble." "You're not causing trouble, sweetheart. You're telling me something I needed to know. Rachel's been through a lot, but that's no excuse for cruelty. Her mother and I, we haven't been as honest with ourselves about Rachel's behavior as we should have been." Update. This is it, guys. The confrontation is about to happen. Rachel's grandma is coming to get her, but I'm scared about what Rachel might do when she finds out. Also, I'm starting to think about whether I should report this to the police or school. What would you do in my situation? That Friday evening, a little Honda Civic pulled into our driveway. Rachel's grandmother got out, moving slow but determined, like someone who had made up her mind about something difficult. Rachel was in her room when the doorbell rang. I watched from the stairs as my parents answered the door, confused about why Mrs. Martinez was there unannounced. "I'm here to take Rachel home with me," she announced. "No pleasantries, no small talk. We need to have a serious conversation about her behavior." "Her behavior?" Mom asked. "She's been wonderful here. Really, no trouble at all." Mrs. Martinez looked at my parents with something like pity. "I think you've been seeing what Rachel wanted you to see, but this young lady," she nodded toward me, "has shown me who Rachel really is when adults aren't watching." The next hour was like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. Mrs. Martinez laid out everything I had shared with her, showing my parents the video on her phone. Rachel tried to deny it at first, then switched to claiming I had somehow faked the evidence, then finally broke down crying and begging everyone to understand how hard her life had been. "Hard life doesn't give you permission to make someone else's life hard," her grandmother said firmly. "Pack your things. We're leaving tonight." My parents were in shock. Dad kept apologizing to me, saying he should have listened better. Mom was crying, partly from guilt and partly from disappointment. They had genuinely thought they were helping someone, and finding out they had enabled my torment was hitting them hard. But Rachel wasn't going down without a fight. "You have no idea what you've done," she hissed at me while her grandmother was loading her suitcases into the car. "Do you think this is over? Do you think I'm just going to forget about this?" "I think you're going to focus on getting your life together," I replied, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. "I'll ruin you," she whispered. "I'll make sure everyone at school knows what a snitch you are. I'll make sure you never have friends again." "Rachel," her grandmother called from the car. "Let's go." As they drove away, Rachel stared at me through the rear window with this look of pure hatred that made me glad she was leaving. The house felt different immediately, lighter somehow, like someone had opened all the windows and let fresh air in. My parents were awkward around me for a few days, trying to make up for not believing me with extra privileges and my favorite takeout from Olive Garden, but I couldn't shake Rachel's threats. She had 3 weeks left of school, and I knew she wasn't going to just disappear quietly. She didn't. The Monday after she left, I walked into school to find that someone had put flyers in every locker calling me a backstabbing snake who destroys families for fun. My Instagram was flooded with fake accounts posting nasty comments on all my photos. Someone even created a fake Snapchat account using my photo and sent inappropriate messages to guys from our school. It was like Rachel had activated some kind of sleeper cell of mean girls who were happy to do her dirty work from 3 states away. Girls who barely knew me were giving me dirty looks in the hallway. People I'd been friends with since elementary school were suddenly too busy to hang out. Jake, the guy who had asked me to homecoming before Rachel swooped in, approached me at my locker on Wednesday. "Hey, so I heard some stuff about you," he said, looking uncomfortable. "About how you got Rachel kicked out of your house because you were jealous of her?" "That's not what happened, Jake. I mean, she showed me some screenshots of messages you sent her. Pretty harsh stuff. Screenshots, of course. Rachel was smart enough to create fake evidence to support her lies. Those aren't real, Jake. She's been harassing me for months." But I could see he didn't believe me. The fake screenshots looked convincing, and Rachel had always been good at playing the victim. That night, I made another decision. This one was harder than calling Rachel's grandmother, but it felt necessary. I called the police. The officer who came to our house was this middle-aged woman named Officer Martinez, no relation to Rachel, thankfully, who specialized in cyberbullying cases. She sat at our kitchen table and listened while I walked her through everything: the months of harassment, the stolen items, the video evidence, and now the online campaign against me. "This constitutes harassment and possibly identity theft," she said after reviewing everything. "The fake social media accounts alone are enough for charges. Do you want to file a formal complaint?" Will it actually stop her? It'll create a legal record. If she continues, the consequences get more serious, and other victims will have something to point to if she does this to someone else. Other victims. That phrase stuck with me. What if Rachel moved on from me and found some other girl to torment? What if she was already doing this to someone at her new school? Yes, I said. I want to file charges. The paperwork took about an hour. Officer Martinez explained that Rachel would be contacted by police in her new state, that the evidence would be forwarded to prosecutors, and that I should keep documenting any further harassment. Cases like this often get resolved with community service and counseling, she explained. The goal is education and prevention more than punishment. But the best part was what happened next. Officer Martinez asked if she could take copies of my evidence to share with the school resource officer. Apparently, what Rachel had done to me was part of a pattern they'd been trying to address. We've had several reports of similar behavior over the past few years, she said. Always the same methods: social manipulation, fake evidence, targeting girls who are somewhat isolated. Your documentation is the most thorough we've seen. 3 days later, I got a call that changed everything. Hi, is this the girl who reported Rachel Martinez? The voice was young, nervous. My name is Ashley, and I'm a sophomore. I heard you stood up to her, and I wanted you to know that she did the same things to me last year. Ashley's story was almost identical to mine. Rachel had befriended her, gained her trust, then systematically destroyed her reputation when Ashley started getting attention from a guy Rachel liked. The harassment had gotten so bad that Ashley had switched schools mid-year. But I never reported it because I thought no one would believe me, Ashley said. She was so good at making it look like I was the problem. How did you hear about my case? Officer Martinez reached out to me. She said there might be other victims and asked if I wanted to add my statement to yours. There are 4 other girls she contacted. 4 other girls. Rachel had been doing this for years, leaving a trail of damaged teenagers in her wake. And now, finally, someone was going to hold her accountable. The legal case moved faster than I expected. With multiple victims coming forward and solid evidence, Rachel's new school district got involved. She was suspended pending investigation, and her grandmother enrolled her in counseling as part of a plea agreement. But the real victory came about 2 weeks later. I was at Target, working my usual Thursday evening shift, when my phone buzzed, with an unknown number. Please don't press charges, the text said. I know I messed up, I know I hurt you, but if this goes on my record, I won't get into any colleges. Please, I'm begging you. Rachel. Somehow she had gotten my number and was reaching out directly. My first instinct was to ignore it, but something made me respond. You should have thought about college before you decided to ruin my life. I was going through a hard time. My mom was in rehab. I was staying with strangers. Everything was falling apart. So you decided to make my life fall apart too? Sorry, I'm really, really sorry. I'll make it up to you somehow. I stared at my phone, thinking about everything she had put me through. The ruined college applications, the deleted files, the homecoming dress, the months of harassment. The other girls she had hurt who hadn't been as lucky as me. But I also thought about something Officer Martinez had said during one of our follow-up calls. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is let them face the consequences of their actions. I'm not dropping the charges, Rachel, I typed back, but I hope you get the help you need. She sent about 20 more messages after that, pleading, bargaining, then getting angry and threatening me again before going back to begging. I screenshotted everything and forwarded it to Officer Martinez, then blocked the number. The final update came last month. Rachel pled guilty to harassment and identity theft charges. She got community service, mandatory counseling, and probation. More importantly, she had to write letters of apology to all her victims and participate in an anti-bullying program at her new school. I got my letter last week. It was 2 pages long, handwritten, and actually seemed genuine. She talked about her therapy sessions, about learning to deal with her anger and jealousy in healthier ways, about understanding how much damage she had caused. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, she wrote at the end. But I want you to know that what you did, standing up to me, holding me accountable, probably saved other people from going through what you went through. I hope someday I can be half as brave as you were. I don't know if I believe it completely. People can write pretty words without meaning them. But I hope it's true. I hope she really is getting better. As for me, I'm doing great. I got into 3 colleges, including my first choice. I'm dating Jake now. Turns out when he learned the truth about those fake screenshots, he felt terrible and asked me out properly. My parents and I have a better relationship too. They listen more now, trust my judgment, and we've all learned some valuable lessons about assuming the best in people without ignoring red flags. The best part, though? I got a message last month from a girl named Emma at Rachel's new school. She said Rachel had tried to start her old tricks, the fake friendship, the manipulation, the slowly escalating cruelty. But this time, when Emma reported it, the school already knew Rachel's history. They intervened immediately, got Emma support, and made sure Rachel stuck to her counseling requirements. Thank you for making sure there was a record, Emma wrote. You probably saved me months of torture. That's when I knew I had made the right choice, not just in standing up to Rachel, but in following through with legal action even when it felt scary. Sometimes protecting yourself means protecting everyone who comes after you too. Rachel texted me one more time last week from a new number I didn't recognize at first. I heard you're going to state in the fall, she wrote. Congratulations. You deserve good things. I didn't respond, but I didn't block the number either. Maybe someday we'll both be different enough people that we can have a real conversation about what happened. Maybe not. Either way, I'm not afraid of her anymore. I'm not afraid of anyone anymore, actually. Standing up to Rachel taught me that I'm stronger than I thought I was, that my voice matters, that sometimes the scariest thing to do is also the right thing to do, and sometimes the best revenge is just living your best life and not letting anyone steal your joy. Update final. Hey everyone, thanks for following this wild journey with me. Rachel's doing community service and counseling now, and she actually seems to be getting better. The best part? When another girl at her new school tried to report similar behavior, there was already a record of Rachel's past, so they stopped it before it could escalate. I'm heading to college in the fall, and honestly, I've never been happier. Standing up for yourself is scary, but it's worth it. For everyone asking, yes, I'm pressing forward with everything, because protecting future victims matters more than being nice to someone who hurt so many people.